What is going on, peasants? My name is JB, and today we're going to be doing a 2022 NFL mock draft. This is my first video here on the sports channel. This is something I've been wanting to get started for a very long time, and I'm super happy that we are finally at the point where I can do this. I have the time to do this, and I'm very, very thankful for that. So, should be a fun time. But if you guys don't know me, you can go ahead and check out my gaming channel and my Twitch in the description down below, as well as all my other socials. So go follow me, subscribe, do all that sort of fun stuff. Now that that's out of the way, though, let's go ahead and talk about how I got here as a sports guy. So I've obviously been a sports fan pretty much my entire life, but I've been a more casual NFL fan for most of it. But one of my main projects of the whole 2020 thing, you guys know what happened. I don't really want to say the word this early in the video, otherwise it might, stunt my algorithm success, if you will. But one of the things I did during that time was really start to learn more about the player evaluation process and scouting and stuff like that. I stumbled across some videos on YouTube of people just talking about the draft and scouting players and just like film breakdowns and stuff like that, and it really intrigued me. And over the last year or so, I've been learning a lot more about it, and I feel like I'm finally know enough that I can start putting my opinions out there on the internet and not feel too bad about myself. So that's where we are in terms of my knowledge of the sport not being the highest. I just want to be upfront, honest about that. We'll learn more about each other as this channel goes on, because I don't plan on going anywhere with this. Stick around, click subscribe, click like, all that fun stuff. Going to be a lot of content on the channel, both NFL related and other sports, once they start getting more interesting as well. I'm more of a draft guy. Like, listen, I love the draft for pretty much all sports. I'm not really a baseball guy, but NFL, NBA draft, I'm all about it. So if you're looking for that sort of content, this is the channel for you. We'll also have some other stuff, but that's not really what we're here to talk about. What we are here to talk about is the fact that I am unfortunately a Panthers fan. Just something else I thought you guys should know up front. So that it is what it is, man. We're basically the kings of the NFL. We have okay players, but just complete and utter front office incompetence. It feels like a lot of the time, and also coaching incompetence. Matt Rule, Luke Walton. Is there a more apt comparison from sport to sport? I'm not so sure, but is what it is. And also, I'll say again right now, I don't want a quarterback in this draft, but it feels like we're going to take one, so we'll get to that when we get to that. That's sort of what this mock is going to be. It's going to be a mixture of predictive, like what I think will happen, versus what I think the teams should do. It's going to be a bit of a mix, because honestly, it's really hard to predict what some teams will do in this draft, and it's not the easiest thing to really figure out. Like, this is a really weird class. Like, a lot of the talent in this class is made up of the same couple positions: tackle, edge, receiver. Like, this class is extremely deep at those positions. There are good prospects at other positions, but it's a lot of the top end talent in this class is edge, receiver, tackle. So yeah, especially at the top of the draft. So it's a really weird class, but we'll make do. And you guys have already been spoiled on what the title is and the thumbnail, so you know what we're doing with this first pick. Well, let's go ahead and talk about that. So there's an article that came out the 28th. I'm recording this on the 30th. That TRAVON Walker is a realistic possibility for the Jaguars at number 1. This was reported by Dan Brugler of The Athletic. The Jags aren't really sure what they're going to do. So in this hypothetical world where apparently TRAVON Walker is a real possibility, let's go ahead and play with the idea of what if the sorry, just pulling up my I did this once before just so I have the picks and don't get all confused on my notes. I got some notes. Okay, so let's go ahead and play with the idea of what if the rumors are true and the Jags do go ahead and take TRAVON Walker at number 1. So here we go, let's do it. TRAVON Walker, number 1 pick. So he's an absolute freak of an athlete with crazy upside. Like, he's 6'5", 270 and just destroyed the combine, ran a crazy good 40 for a man that size. His agility drills were insane, but he's a bit of a project. He didn't really have the sack production or the pressure production, because he just played on such a crazy good defense. Do we know he can do that? I'm sure he can, but we just haven't seen it yet. So we'll see. He's more of a developmental guy than a sure thing, but well, do we trust the Jags with that? That's not for us to decide, man. That's what they're doing. They're taking TRAVON Walker, freak of an athlete, immense upside. Let's see if they can tap into it and get him there. But yeah, TRAVON Walker, number 1 overall. Number 2 to the Lions. So previously, the Vegas betting odds favorites for this pick were Kyle Hamilton, who we'll talk about, and Malik Willis. But that was assuming the Jaguars took Aiden Hutchinson at 1. With Aiden Hutchinson still on the board, I think it's a pretty easy pick. And also, we're going to be playing around with what if Kyle Hamilton falls? Not that he would ever go here, but let's go ahead and get Aiden Hutchinson out of the way before we get to the Texans pick, because Kyle Hamilton has also been a real possibility to the Texans at 3. But Kyle Hamilton is a guy, especially on Twitter and just in, you know, the internet sphere, that has been kind of like, people have been kind of cooling on him as a prospect. Not that he's not still an elite safety prospect, which I think he is. I think if you had to, like, you know, ask me whether or not I think he'll be a top 10 player in this class eventually, I think probably yeah, but people aren't in love with the 40 time, man. Like, people care a lot about that, and he allegedly ran a worse time at his pro day than he did at the combine, and he was already getting clowned for his combine 40. So he may not be this elite athlete that we all thought he was, but he's still a damn fine player. But he doesn't seem like a lock for the top 10 like he might have been. So what if he falls, which I think is a very, very real possibility. So what do the Texans do then? They have Laramie Tunsil at tackle. They have Titus Howard, who's played a lot of tackle in his career, and he's been okay there, but they see him as more of a guard. So with that being said, I think the easy pick for the Texans is Evan Neal. You have an elite tackle duo, and whether or not you end up trading Laramie Tunsil, which was the rumors at one point in this offseason, was they were both, you know, sort of looking for a trade. Either way, Evan Neal could be your starting left tackle, or you have an elite tackle duo for whoever your next quarterback ends up being, whether that be Davis Mills or not, who's to know. He looked okay, but you know, you don't have to, you're not obviously invested super highly in him, and you're probably going to be pretty bad again. You could have a top pick next year, and you can bring in a rookie quarterback with an elite tackle duo. So Evan Neal at 3 feels like the safe pick. And now for the Jets. So this is a tough spot. It comes down to really 2 positions for me. It's tackle or it's corner. Like, Sauce Gardner has been flying up boards lately, so I think that Sauce is a real possibility here. I think the only other player really in play for this pick is Icky Kwanu, the NC State guard or tackle. But I think, man, Stahl is a defensive guy, so I think he probably ends up going defense. So we're gonna go ahead and take Sauce Gardner over Ikwanu. Like, I know tackle's a big need, but they have George Fant there. They obviously have Mekhi Becton. I know the rumors are maybe this coaching staff isn't super high on Becton. He doesn't seem like he has the best work ethic. That's all allegedly, of course. He came back out of shape after his injury, and maybe they're just not super in love with him. But I don't know. They have another top 10 pick, and this is a very deep tackle class. So we'll go ahead and grab Ahmad Gardner there. Ahmad Gardner feels like the easy choice for top corner in this class, and the Jets desperately need help there as well. So we'll go ahead and grab Ahmad Gardner now at number 5. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting as a Panthers fan. What do the Giants do? The Giants can kind of box the Panthers out of taking a tackle, especially if there are all 3 or both of the top 2 elite guys off the board. And I think that's exactly what they do. With Ikwanu here at 5, I think it's an easy pick for the Giants to go ahead and take him at 5, because there's no way he gets past the Panthers at 6. In an ideal world, but I think there is a decent chance that if the Giants don't take him at 6, the Panthers don't, because we'll get to it. But I do think, just to be safe, because they obviously have the pick right after the Panthers pick as well, I think they go ahead and take the guy they for sure want the most, that being Ikwanu. They need a tackle. Go ahead and take Icky there. And then we get to the Panthers pick. Now, I mentioned in the intro, I don't want a quarterback here, but it feels like that's where the Panthers are going to be going. I don't think they should. Personally, if it were up to me, I would probably go Charles Cross here, or take a shot on a guy like Thibodeau. Even though we don't need edge, just take a shot on the upside. Like, that's how much I don't think we should go quarterback. But it feels like we are going to go QB, and it comes down to Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett. Malik Willis has probably the highest upside, but he's more of a project player. He's not a guy who may be able to come in and start week 1. But he's definitely a guy who has immense upside for year 2. Well, Matt Rule's not so sure he's going to be there for year 2, so he's going to be looking to take a win now quarterback, and the most pro-ready quarterback in this class is Kenny Pickett. It's not who I want, but it's who I think they're going to end up taking. He is a damn good player. People talk about he had this Joe Burrow-esque breakout season. He had a really good senior year, but I believe it was his 5th year, and it was his only anything close to good year in college. And the hand size is real, but man, I don't know. It's not a pick I'm super excited with, but it feels like where the Panthers are going to go. I think they're going to go Kenny Pickett. So that's going to be our pick. And then at 7 for the Giants, it's basically which edge rusher do you want between KT and Jermaine Johnson? It's just which one do you think you could develop better? KT has maybe the highest ceiling in this entire class of anyone, but it's just, does he want to get there? Does he have the drive to get there? Does he like football enough? Is he, he is a little bit lazy. He, didn't do drills at the combine. He ran the 40 and that was it. He was, allegedly supposed to do them, but ended up not doing it. Or do you take Jermaine Johnson, who's another freak of an athlete, dominated the Senior Bowl? I think you probably take a shot on the upside of KT. Like he just has that elite level upside. Not that Jermaine Johnson doesn't, not that Jermaine Johnson isn't a top 10 prospect and isn't one of the best, doesn't have that upside as well. KT just has higher upside, and it feels like, more of a swing for the fences pick. So we'll go ahead and take KT there. Now for the Falcons, again, it comes down to edge rusher or receiver. Who do you think is the best receiver on the board? A lot of different people will say a lot of different guys. And Jermaine Johnson still sitting here. He's a damn good player as well. But I think their ideal scenario would be sauce making here. Obviously, he didn't do that in this draft or in this mock. They have literally no one to throw the ball to outside of Kyle Pitts and Cordell Patterson. So I think they probably look to go receiver over edge. And my top receiver is, I think it's going to end up being Garrett Wilson. He's just like, he's not the fastest, but he's the best all-around package. Like he's the best like complete package. He's not like the best at any one thing specifically, but he's elite or borderline elite at everything. He's a hell of an athlete, great route runner, great separator, great hands. So Garrett Wilson, my number 1 receiver. We'll go ahead and take him there for the Falcons at number 8. Now at number 9, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Again, do you want to take a shot on Charles Cross as a tackle, or do you want to go for a more valuable, not necessarily more valuable position, but do you want to go for edge? It's between Charles Cross and Jermaine Johnson. I think they probably look to go defense just because they have an okay offensive line, and it's not like you have your quarterback in place. There's been some connections to Baker. Is this a Malik Willis spot? I don't think so. I think they just ride it out with Drew Lock or trade for Baker. I don't think they take a QB there. And even if you do take a QB here, let's like, do you really want him to come in behind the offensive line? So that comes back to the question, do you want to take offensive line? I don't know. I feel like they probably just go defense though. Jermaine Johnson is a hell of a prospect. Should be a plug and play, damn fine edge rusher who will, do the job quite well. My brain just stopped. Listen, dudes. Listen, guys. Words are very hard, and I am not very good at them. So bear with me. It's hot as hell in my room. We're gonna make do with it. Jermaine Johnson, hell of an edge rushing prospect. Seahawks desperately need players at the position. So there you go. Jermaine Johnson to the Seahawks at number 9. At number 10, the Jets didn't take a tackle at 4. Charles Cross still on the board. I think that's a pretty easy fit. Could also look to go Stingley if you want to shoot for upside. Although they don't, wait, I lied. They took Gardner at 4. Could look at Hamilton if you want, but they did, spend money on Jordan Whitehead. They still have some recent like mid-round picks. Like they're not super desperate for safety. They are kind of desperate for tackle. Like we mentioned, the coaching staff might not be in love with Becton, and even if they aren't, like George Fant is a replacement level starter. So go ahead and grab Charles Cross to be a tackle for them. Whether or not he starts immediately, probably does, but he's a damn good player and probably the best pass blocker day 1 out of any of the tackles in this class. So I like that pick a lot. All right, next up for the Washington Commanders. I know a lot of Commanders fans want a receiver. I don't think it's their biggest need. They have Terry McLaurin. Obviously, he's freaking elite, amazing player. But outside of that, they don't have a ton. Basically, Curtis Samuel just can't stay healthy. Don't know what you have in Diami Brown, and that's basically it. So receiver is definitely in play. I think you could take a shot on a guy like Stingley. You could take Hamilton. Again, we're playing with what if Hamilton does fall if people aren't in love with him as an athlete, which is a very real possibility. So we're looking at that in this mock draft a little bit as well. So what do the Commanders do? I think they probably end up going at receiver. I don't think it's their biggest need, but there's a lot of damn good receiver talent in this class. I think the guy they probably end up taking is, man, it's tough between Williams and London because Williams is a freak athlete, and all signs point to him being ready to play early in the season. But Drake London is another guy who the NFL seems very high on. Pretty good athlete, elite red zone threat, which is something they definitely don't have. He'd be a good complement to the players that they do have. A lot of speedy underneath guys, take pressure off of Terry McLaurin in the red zone. So we'll go ahead and grab Drake London for the Washington Commanders. Now at number 12, the Vikings. They have the worst cornerback room in the league, and it's just who's your top guy on the board. For me, it's tough between Stingley and some of these other guys. Stingley, if you get freshman year Stingley, it's a home run of a pick. If you get sophomore junior year Stingley, it's, you know, like a double. Like he's a good player. It's just he has the ceiling to be elite. Like he has the ceiling to be an amazing corner. It's just with injuries and work ethic, can he get there? Who's to say? But we're gonna take a shot on the upside and take Derek Stingley at number 12. And then at number 13, the Texans are back up. This is the Deshaun Watson trade. So there's a point in this offseason where Kyle Hamilton was being mocked to them at 3. I think at 13, I don't think Hamilton falls out of the top 10. But if he does, I don't think he gets back past the Texans at 13. I think this is the absolute floor. He could drop further, but I don't think he does. So Kyle Hamilton at 13 feels like a home run of a pick, especially when people were, you know, at one point mocking you to take him at 3. You get Kyle Hamilton at 13. That is crazy good value. Still going to be a very good safety, just not maybe the game-breaking athlete we once thought he was. So Kyle Hamilton at 13 is a steal of a pick for the Houston Texans. And then at number 14, we have the Baltimore Ravens, a team that was just absolutely ravaged by injuries. They do need a little bit of help in the secondary. You want to take a shot at Andrew Booth? I'm not so sure. He's not a great scheme fit, but he's a good player. You can probably figure it out. But this team is very good at developing defensive players, which leads me to my actual pick, and that comes down to interior. It comes down to the Georgia teammates, Davis and Wyatt. We haven't seen really anything from Davis to show that he is, you know, an elite a pass rusher. He doesn't really have that, you know, we haven't seen that upside from him, but he is a freak of an athlete. He wasn't really asked to do it at Georgia. So this team, very good at developing those kind of players. I think Jordan Davis goes off the board here at number 14 to the Baltimore Ravens, who do need a nose tackle as well. So bottom worst case scenario, you still have a damn fine nose tackle, and if you can unlock any pass rushing upside with this freak athleticism, then it's a home run of a pick. Then at number 15, the first of the Eagles picks. So they need corner, they need edge, and they also need a receiver. Those are their top 3 needs. Luckily, they have 3 out of the next 5 picks. I think those are probably the positions they'd like to target. It's just which players do they want? And honestly, it comes down to which of the injury guys do they want to take? For me, it's Jameson Williams. I don't think the gap like in this predictive ranking is as far between Olave, Burks, and Williams. I personally don't think it's that far. So I'm not like, again, Jameson Williams is also hurt to start the year. They don't need receiver. And I like one of the other guys better for them. So we'll look somewhere else first. I think on edge, Karlaftis, this feels a little bit early for me. Boye Mafe is a freak athlete. David Ojabo. Honestly, yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and grab David Ojabo. I know I talked about the injury guys a little bit, and it was between Williams and Ojabo for me. I think they go Ojabo. He just has crazy good upside. It's just, unfortunately, and he would be a steal at this pick if he was healthy. He'd be a fantastic value here if he was healthy. It's just he's not healthy. Obviously, he tore his Achilles at his pro day, but he's still another game-breaking athlete who has immense upside at the position. So we'll go ahead and grab him here. You get that extra 5th-year option on him. Might as well. He's that good of a prospect. It's just, unfortunately, he's hurt. But if he's able to come back healthy, you have a steal of a player. And then for their second pick, I think they go receiver, and that's why I don't think they go with Jameson Williams here. Because I don't think they want to take 2 injured guys who won't be there at the start of the year. So I think it comes down to Olave or Burks. And being that I am from Arkansas, a little bit of a bias, we're going to go ahead and go with Traylon Burks, a guy similarly to Drake London, who, or not Drake London, similarly to Kyle Hamilton, who the NFL seems to be a little bit lower on after hit the combine, because he didn't have this game-breaking speed. He's not this crazy freak of an athlete. He's not this 4.3 guy who some people were expecting to be this 4.4 guy. He's a 4.5 guy, which is still really damn fast. We saw him make plays all year in the SEC, running away from the Alabama defense on one play in particular that was very impressive. Like, he has game speed and he's a damn good receiver. So I think he's still easily a first round talent, and I think the Eagles would be fine with grabbing him here. Damn good pairing to hopefully clear out space for Devontae Smith. So there you go. I like the pick. Now, next up, we got the Chargers at 17. I think it comes down to tackle and defensive line. Unfortunately, Jordan Davis isn't here anymore. Devontae Wyatt is a damn good player as well, but they spent a decent amount on the position in free agency, bringing in Sebastian Joseph Day, who's familiar with the system. I don't think they really need to look there. I don't think it's as big of a need as it would seem, and there are a lot of pretty damn good day 2 prospects at the position, so I don't think they need to go D-line here or D-tackle here. I think Trevor Penning is probably one of the best fits in the draft for this team. They need another tackle on the other side of Rashawn Slater. Trevor Penning fits the bill quite nicely, and worst case scenario, you have a damn good guard prospect. So yeah, Trevor Penning, just a beast, mauler, just mean run blocker. So Trevor Penning there to the New Orleans Saints, or to the Chargers, excuse me. Now we have the New Orleans Saints at 18. I think this is another receiver. I think this is where we see Chris Olave go off the board, or Jameson Williams. It's just, do you want to go with the injury concern? Do you care about that? I personally don't, but the Saints have been burned by injury plagued receivers before. I mean, last year they had just their entire room decimated by injuries, and of course Michael Thomas didn't play last year. Go ahead, bring in Chris Olave, who's a phenomenal athlete, another guy who can clear out space for Michael Thomas, who will hopefully be back to work his magic underneath. And there you go, Chris Olave to the Saints. Then at number 19, we have the Eagles back on the board. Probably look to go secondary here. Interior offensive line is an option as well. I'm very high on Zion Johnson. I think Kenyan Green is a great player as well. But Andrew Booth is a damn good corner. So is Trent McDuffie. So it's one of those two guys for me. I think we probably end up going Booth. I just like him a little bit more. So we'll go with Booth there. Now, I don't think he makes it this far in real life, but if he does, the Steelers are going to take him. They've been connected to him all offseason. That, of course, is Malik Willis. I think he probably goes higher than this in real life. But in this mock, we'll go ahead and take him here at 20. The Steelers, like I said, been connected to him all offseason. And worst case scenario, he gets to learn from Mitch Trubisky for a year. I know that may not seem like, this may not seem like a good thing, but Mitch Trubisky is a veteran at this point. He's been around the block a time or two, and he can teach the guys something and get him ready to start in a year or two. And also, if Trubisky's all over himself, you do have a high upside guy, a great athlete, with a semi-rebuilt offensive line. So it's not like he faces immediate pressure to start, but he can if he needs to if Trubisky is bad again. And they don't really have a ton outside of those guys. So yeah, like I said, if Malik Willis gets to 20, the Steelers are taking him. And I wouldn't be super shocked if they traded up to maybe one of the Eagles picks to grab him. So there we go. Next up, the Patriots, excuse me, at 21. This, again, feels like a corner. They lost JC Jackson. It's corner or linebacker for me. Maybe receiver if they fall in love with one of the guys. Like, this could be a Jameson Williams spot. I don't necessarily think so, though. I think it's corner. For me, it's McDuffie or Gordon, one of the Washington guys. Honestly, I think Kyler Gordon might be a little bit better. He's a little bit better of an athlete, but McDuffie, he's just a little bit better in coverage. So we'll go ahead and grab McDuffie. Great scheme fit, too. So we'll just grab a damn fine young corner for Belichick to not resign once his deal's up. All right, next up we have the Packers at 22. Man, all these PA teams are messing with my brain, messing with my mouth at this at 3 a.m. man. Listen, dude, listen, words are hard. All right, so the Packers at 22. I think one of the what's the word I'm looking for? One of the factors in Aaron Rodgers resigning, one of the things he had, like, because allegedly he knew that Devontae Adams wasn't coming back. I think one of the main reasons he did come back was he wanted to make sure that the team took a receiver in round 1. So with all the other top guys being off the board, I think Jameson Williams comes off the goes. My brain just completely stopped working. I think one of the reasons Aaron Rodgers came back was he wanted to guarantee that the team took a receiver with one of these picks. Jameson Williams being the top guy left on the board, I think this is the absolute floor he goes at. So boom, Jameson Williams to the Packers. One interesting thought is, do they package one of these picks to move up? Could definitely see that being a thought. Maybe they look to get, one of the Jets or Giants picks, maybe getting the Garrett Wilson range could be a thing. No trade draft. We'll do a draft with trades at some point, I'm sure, but we're not exactly sold on that at this point. Now, for the Arizona Cardinals, this is a weird pick for me. To me, it comes down to edge or interior offensive line. They did sign Will Hernandez. They have Pugh there as well. Both seem like replacement level starters. Pugh's okay, Hernandez less so. The corner room isn't anything special either, but they do have a lot of like guys they've picked in recent years that they're pretty high on. So yeah, the next guy on the board is Elam or Gordon. I don't really see them going after either one of them. I really like Kenyan Green. Rodney Hudson is getting up there in years, so worst case, you have your replacement starter for Rodney Hudson when he retires, or you have a guy who can step in and play over Will Hernandez. I really like Kenyan Green here. I think he definitely goes in the first round. So Kenyan Green to the Cardinals. And now this is the easiest pick in the draft for me. One of them. If Devontae Wyatt makes it to the Cowboys, they're taking him. And in this scenario, he did. The Cowboys have been looking to find a guy on the interior for years, taking shots on guys like Tristan Hill and Neville Gallimore who haven't worked out, bringing in vets who haven't worked out either. So Devontae Wyatt, hell of a prospect, hell of a player. And if it weren't for Jordan Davis being an game-breaking athlete, a internet-breaking athlete, Devontae Wyatt would be looked at as, that. He's a freaking freak for his size. What is he? 6'3", 307, moves like a guy half that size. Like, he is a freak of an athlete. So Devontae Wyatt to the Cowboys. That's another interesting spot. So this feels like another corner team with Elam or Gordon. Not really in love with either of those scheme fits. Team that could use a receiver in the Bills, but I think their guards are also not the best. So I think Zion Johnson is a guy who I'm pretty damn high on. I think he's going to be a really freaking good player. So Zion Johnson to the Bills feels like a home run to me. Go ahead and make that pick. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans at number 26. They lost basically all their linebackers in free agency. They also lost Julio, so they do need to bring in another receiver. I'm not in love with Jahan Dotson. I don't think he necessarily goes first round. Not that he couldn't. I just don't necessarily think he does. So we're going to lead linebacker in this case, Devin Lloyd. I think he's probably the best linebacker in the class. I think he's the most surefire first rounder, especially with questions about Nakobe Dean's athleticism and size. He's only 5'11", didn't run at his pro day, didn't run at the combine. So like, he played really fast on tape, but if he ran like Kyle Hamilton time or a Traylon Burks time, he would also drop down the board a lot. So he's trying to keep his draft stock as high as he can by not running, because maybe he's not as fast as he looks on tape. That's all I'm saying. I think he's still a really good player. It's just size concerns and speed concerns. Where does he end up going? So we'll go ahead and grab Devin Lloyd. I do think there is another linebacker that goes first round, but we'll get to him in a little bit. All right, with this next pick, so the Buccaneers, they have a very interesting problem coming up at corner. They just paid, I believe it was Carlton Davis. It was either Carlton Davis or Jamel Dean. Either way, along with Sean Murphy Bunting, two of those three are free agents next offseason, whichever one. Listen, man, it's late. Leave me alone. But two of those three guys are free agents next offseason. You're probably going to end up losing at least one of them. So bringing in another corner is probably a pretty good idea, especially getting that cheaper contract and that 5th-year option. I think Kaiir Elam makes a ton of sense here. And plus, you can never have too many players at corner. They got ravaged by injuries. Also, Sean Murphy Bunting was out for a big chunk of the season. We saw how destroyed the Ravens cornerback room was by injury. So you can never have too many. And also, with this pass happy as the league is these days, you never, like, 4 corner sets are a thing. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad pick at all. Go ahead and grab Kaiir Elam. Now, with the Packers, it comes down to a couple of positions for me. Could look to double up on receiver, but you need some help on the defensive line. And one player really stands out, and that being George Karlaftis. I think this is probably fair range for him. I could see him going anywhere from the Cardinals pick to, you know, basically, I don't think he makes it past the Chiefs, is what I'm saying. And with the Chiefs having back-to-back picks, I do think that George Karlaftis makes a ton of sense here. He's a guy who can slide inside on certain packages and certain downs, so I think Karlaftis makes a ton of sense here. Get another guy opposite Rashawn Gary. They did lose to Darius Smith. I think Karlaftis is a hell of a fit here for the Green Bay Packers. And then we have the Chiefs with back-to-back picks. So this is a weird one. A lot of the top receivers are off the board. A lot of the top corners are off the board. Who do you take? Again, I'm not super high on Jahan Dotson. He feels like, I mean, he's fine. You're not going to replace the production of Tyreek Hill with this pick. So I don't know if they necessarily look to go receiver. They obviously need one, but I'm not in love with the value here. It's Jahan Dotson or Christian Watson for me. Sky Moore's good too, but George Pickens has maybe the highest upside of any of those guys. But I don't know. Do you take a shot on one of these guys? I'm not so sure. They really need corner as well. They lost Javarius Ward, and they need to look to replace some of Tyrann Mathieu's snaps. And unfortunately, they also need to look to play some of Dan Sorensen's snaps, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at that. So they do need help in that regard. So I think a guy who's played a lot of slot corner in college kind of covers both needs, fills both holes a little bit. I think Daxton Hill makes a ton of sense for the Chiefs here. He's the guy who's a damn good athlete. He's played a lot of slot corner, even a little bit on the boundary, and he's definitely a guy who can play deep into high safety sets. So I like Daxton Hill a lot. He can play a lot of different roles for this team, and he feels like a damn fine pick here. Now, so this is a really tough pick for me. I have it down to two guys, and I'm really not sure. So it's edge or IDL for me. I don't think they end up going receiver. Like, maybe they fall in love with, you know, one of those guys, and if any of them, I think it is probably Christian Watson that goes here. But they also really need help on their defensive line because their edge rushers are less than ideal, and Chris Jones desperately needs help. So it's down to a couple guys for me. We're gonna be looking at either an edge guy or an interior guy. So I'm pretty big on Travis Jones. I don't think there's I think he definitely, I don't want to say definitely, I think there's a really, really good chance he ends up going first round. He's a phenomenal player. And again, if it weren't for Jordan Davis, he'd be a surefire first rounder. He's that good of an athlete. But I think they're looking for, I think they need more help on edge than they do on the interior. I think getting help on the edge helps your interior, takes pressure off of Chris Jones. So is it Boye Mafe or Arnold Ebiketie? Boye Mafe is more of a project. They're more in win now mode. Arnold Ebiketie, if he came out last year, would have been a surefire first round pick. I think he's still a pretty damn good athlete, just a little bit on the older side. I believe he's 24. Yeah, he is 20. No, that's his ranking. Oh god, how old is he? I think he's 24. Either way, he's a great pass rusher, has really refined movement skills, so really good with his hands. I think Arnold Ebiketie is a pretty damn good fit, so we'll go ahead and grab him there. And then this is the easiest pick of the draft. I honestly think they could look to trade up for him if he, you know, starts to fall. I think Tyler Linderbaum is in range of the Bengals. They take him. It's a no-brainer. He's an elite center prospect, and you just have that position locked up with Burrow and the rest of this completely revamped offensive line for the next few years. Easiest pick in the draft. And now this is the Lions back on the clock with pick number 32. I don't think they necessarily need to go safety. It's their biggest need. This is a sneaky quarterback spot if they want to get a fifth-year option on a guy. Let him learn under Goff for a year or two. Like, I wouldn't hate Desmond Ridder here, or Corral, or Howell. I wouldn't hate even Strong. I wouldn't hate any of these next four guys here, but I don't think they end up doing that. Looking at safety, Lewis Cine is a hell of a player, but not in love with that. I'm thinking it's either Lewis Cine or a linebacker for me. I don't think Nakobe Dean ends up going in the first. The guy who's shooting up draft boards. Honestly, a lot of these guys are shooting up draft boards. Quay Walker, Christian Harris, Chad Muma. Less so Chad Muma, but Walker and Harris are really shooting up draft boards lately. So I could see one of them being the pick. Leo Chenal, though, is a freak athlete. He does have a little bit shorter arms, but he, you know, he's a damn good athlete. Bigger than Nakobe Dean, faster than Nakobe Dean. The only comparable thing is the arm size is a comparison I've seen made, but he's a hell of an athlete. So I can see any of these linebackers going, or Lewis Cine. for the sake of this, let's have a little bit of fun and just take Leo Chenal. Being a surprise, you know, Dan Campbell type guy, work his ass off type of guy. So we'll go with that. And there's our first round. There's our mock, dude. I really enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Go ahead and scroll to you so you guys can see it. Please roast me for not taking the guy you wanted for your favorite team. I'm all about it. Let me know what your favorite pick was, man. I had a ton of fun with this. We'll probably try to do at least one a week for these up until the draft, and we'll get a lot of other content going up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.